These school videos are just getting too predictable.
Yeah, I'd say.
We talk about something random, Callie comes in to annoy us, she asks us a question, then we blab on for an hour.
I mean, what else would we expect?
Hey, my bestest friends!
Told you. Callie, I'm not even going to ask you what you want this time. I know you have a question, so just get on with it.
So, I was just thinking about the mental health thing again. And we already did a video a few months ago, when we talked about Tourette's and how Allison's experienced that. And we said that people who have tics often have other conditions as well that are related to mental health.
Yes, Callie, that's right.
So, what are the conditions relating to what Allison has going on?
Well, everyone is different, but for today, we can talk about OCD, which stands for Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, which is an anxiety disorder that causes an individual to have obsessions and compulsions. Duh.
But there are different types of OCD, and everyone can have different obsessions. So, what's it like?
Well, basically, you get these intrusive thoughts and ideas that you cannot get out of your mind, and it goes against everything that you actually want to think. So people engage in these compulsionary rituals to temporarily relieve the anxiety, but it's very debilitating, tiring, and causes distress.
But Allison knows about it?
Yes, well, Allison was diagnosed with it when she was 5 years old, but there is still further research we can do.
Ooh! Ow, so what are some examples?
So, people with OCD get these ideas in their head and they become paranoid about them. A lot of people think OCD is just wanting everything to be cleaned, organized, or aesthetic, but that's really not what it's like. Lots of people who like order, symmetry, and making things look nice, but that doesn't mean that you have OCD. But some people feel that everything has to be perfect or even, or bad things will happen. They cannot rest until they believe it's settled.
Like, if I didn't want to mix my Play-Doh together, it wouldn't be OCD just because I don't like it.
No, that's right, it wouldn't. Though some people have severe OCD and feel that everything must be perfectly aligned or they cannot continue because they are obsessed with perfection and making everything right. Or people with OCD can be known as washers, and Allison's phone is going off. But they have severe anxiety about getting sick or germs. People with OCD can be terrified of potentially germy things, and they will wash their hands over and over because they feel that they will never be clean. And while being clean is good, washing your hands too much can irritate and damage your skin.
Oh, like, I know Allison is terrified of germs, so she used to wear masks all of the time, even multiple masks. But she would also wear gloves and not want to touch things, then the people at the hospital would question her as if she was crazy. But she really just has issues touching things. Like, she wouldn't want other people to touch her pencil or computer, but she does it when she has to.
Yikes, that is not good. Another part of OCD can be obsessive hoarding. Now, I'm sure we've all seen or know about the TV shows of hoarders, and we think it's disgusting or awful, but those people are actually sick of a hoarding disorder, and it is tied to OCD.
Oh, yeah, like they hold on to random things and they worry about throwing things away and losing their stuff because something bad could happen. They can hold on to trash as a way to cope with other problems, but this does not give a very healthy lifestyle and can cause damage and attract bugs. Ew.
Yes, but there are different forms of it, of course. Like, for example, Allison has many collections of things, like toys, like us, or other things. She also has a lot of rocks and things that she keeps, but she does hoard and keep, like, all of her old school papers. She just keeps them all in her wardrobe in case she needs them, and she just holds on to them, and people take advantage of it, like people who are in classes that Allison was in before, so they ask her for examples and answers on old assignments.
That is not good.
Well, yeah, no, it's not. Then another part of OCD is checking, or checkers.
Like the board game?
No, it means that people will obsessively check things over and over to make sure, but then they still don't feel like they've checked enough, so they check again and again.
That sounds absolutely exhausting.
Oh, you bet it is. People with OCD will constantly ask for reassurance, and they repeat themselves over and over again, they don't realize. Allison's been doing that since she was 3, and I doubt that her parents really like that very much. Yes, so it can be checking over and over if they lock the door, if their house is safe, or if they turn the oven off. They can check it 7 times, but still think that they need to check it again and again, and it takes up a lot of time.
Oh, like Allison will check her schoolwork over and over, and she's always so paranoid that she's messed something up. Also, when her teachers walk around, she will hide her work because she feels that she cannot show it unless she checks it. And she's worried that she needs to think about it more, so she refuses to show what she's doing, and the teachers always question her until she explains it.
Yeah, so sometimes Allison also turns things in late because she checks it over and over and will do so until the last second. She also writes things in pencil and then goes over in pen afterwards just to make sure everything looks perfect, or she's worried that she'll fail and terrible things will happen.
But you can't resist doing it?
No, resisting urges of OCD becomes actually painful, and then you feel like a bad person afterwards. But this isn't your fault. It is something out of your control and is only for you to manage, not that others have to hate you for.
Yeah, people with OCD constantly feel and check that they want things to be okay. Like, another thing Allison does is she goes around and unplugs things in her house at night because she's worried it'll cause a fire. So she goes around and checks that things are safe and unplugged, and she can't sleep until she's done so, and that makes it difficult on everyone. Her parents deal with it, but it still sucks. Oh yeah, fire is one of the main things people worry about, and they try to prevent their house from burning down, because even though it's highly unlikely, it is a possibility, so they go through great lengths to prevent it from happening.
Having OCD is basically having these thoughts in your mind that you feel like you just have to absolutely engage in, and it hurts you, and people don't understand why you are the way you are, and people view you as weird. But you feel that you have to do these ideas or else, and you find yourself doing it when you don't want to. Like, you might feel like you have to tap on something a certain number of times or bad things will happen, or you have a number in your mind of you having to do things to keep them even, like using both hands on something to make it even, or tap or reset things in your mind to keep things even, like rearranging things so they all have the same amount of time in front of another. Or you feel like you need to count things in your head. Like, some people feel like they have to keep count of how many times they breathe or blink, and they just can't stop themselves. Something weird Allison does at school, she'll often go around counting her steps and trying to get them in even numbers. I wonder what people think of that. Oh, probably crazy, but they just don't understand, and people never understand until they experience it, saying it's not a big deal when this to them is a big deal, and telling them not to worry when it's all they can think about. Speaking of thinking, there is also OCD in doubt, feeling like you have to do certain things or you will be punished or end up with negative consequences. Thinking I have to touch all the drawers so my mom will be okay, or your family will die, or a cat will die, or things like that. And high stress situations make these thoughts worse, definitely, but it still doesn't make it something that you can stop. Yes, you know it's stupid, but your brain just won't let it go.
Another awful thing about OCD is it gives you intrusive thoughts, and it's not always just to engage in compulsions, but intrusive thoughts that you don't want, where you imagine the worst case scenario or something worse.
Yeah, these thoughts can also be violent, sexual, or just plain annoying, and they go against what you really want to think. OCD likes to go for your heart and what you care about most. Like, it can make you feel like you're against your family, friends, or partner, or make you think that you don't love people, or you have a different sexuality that you don't think you have.
That's so sad, feeling like you're stuck and can't get rid of your thoughts. Some people also engage in rituals to try and get rid of the thoughts. They might jerk or jump or say no, count, shake their head, anything. But just because you thought it doesn't mean that you actually truly wanted to think it.
Also with OCD, you're constantly worrying that someone is listening to your thoughts, and it makes you paranoid of thinking the wrong thing. Or if someone hears your intrusive thoughts, you'll feel like a bad person.
Anyway, it is super annoying to live with, and it makes you anxious and paranoid of all the time, and most people find you annoying or weird, but they don't truly understand what it's like to have a battle with your own mind, that you just can't win. It can cause you pain, panic attacks, meltdowns, breakdowns, and more. It's not a good time. Damn, that really sucks. And these thoughts just happen over and over, and they don't stop, and it can cause unwanted ideas and sensations. Also, OCD can be connected to other disorders like autism, depression, anxiety, and others. It can really shape and color someone's whole life. Like, it started for Allison when she was just 3, and her first memory that she has in her life is doing some stupid OCD ritual with her toys. It was just awful. God. But there are some good sides to it, because you can get some extra help and support. It can make you really passionate about your hobbies and abilities that you fixate on. Like, if you make videos of toys and you want them to be perfect and you want them to think that your teachers won't judge you and hate you for it.
Right. Anyway, so OCD is handled and understood differently for different parts of the world, but we will discuss Canada today because, well, we live here. Duh.
Well, in Canada, there's online treatment for OCD, and it's called the Canadian Treatment Centre for Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. All caps?
Yep. Anywho, yes, there are specialized services for OCD, and it's called CTC OCD.
Say that 10 times fast.
Shut up, Callie. But yes, it sounds complicated, but really it gives support to kids, teens, adults, seniors, and really anyone who's struggling with OCD. If it starts young like Allison, or happens more when you get older. They explain how OCD is a vicious cycle, and it gives more openness to fear and intrusive thoughts, like being worried that you'll harm someone and do something bad that you've never actually done before or wanted to do.
You're smart, Ashley. Did you just cough on my head? Ew, I'm going to shower. Whoops. Guess it's just me and you now. Up to me. So, another thing for people living with OCD often do is avoid situations because of their fears. Like, if they have intrusive thoughts about harming themselves or someone, even if they don't want to do it, they will avoid and stay away from sharp objects. Or if they're worried they will do something sexually inappropriate, they will avoid people, and they think it could happen if they did such a thing. Oh yeah, many treatments in Canada involve going through exposure and cognitive therapy to understand the reasons behind the thoughts and what can be done to cope with this.
Exposure therapy can be baby steps by helping. It can be as simple as waiting 5 minutes and then doing compulsion, or just moving one thing or not boiling in your thoughts, and you slowly work up to what is manageable, even if it sounds really scary. That's right, and it's believed that 1% of the Canadian population has OCD, and 0.93% of those people will seek treatment and help. And they actually help. They don't just say, well, they don't think about it. Yeah, no, that is absolute BS. And I can say that Allison has been getting therapy and stuff for her OCD since she was 7, and never once has that kind of advice worked. It's like if you say, don't think of a pink elephant, the very first thing you are going to do, no matter what, is think of a pink elephant, and it's so cursed. You can't not think about it, you can't not picture it, no matter how hard you try. That's so rough. I know, but there are ways to get actual help, and that can be different in the forms of medication, but that does not mean that you do drugs or it will completely change your mind. You just feel different in anxiety and in yourself, and it helps. But it can be difficult. When Allison was 7, her mom didn't think that it would be good for her to get medication. Then, when Allison was 16, it was offered to her again. It was her choice. But since Allison was stubborn and stupid, she said no. And now here she is at 18, wishing she wasn't. Because their therapist kind of got rid of them after a while. It's a long story. But yeah, hopefully she can get better someday. It's difficult at school especially. Yeah, but if you talk to a professional and explain your symptoms, history, and work towards your goals, you can actually make progress. Like, when Addison was first doing treatment when she was 7, she talked to this girl for like 6 months. And then one day she was like, okay, we're all done, you're better. And then Addison and her mom were like, what do you mean? You haven't done anything. Yeah, that happens, but the good support groups are good. There are many websites that serve as support groups like OCD Canada, Canadian Mental Health Association, Anxiety Canada, and more. These groups raise awareness for OCD and what it truly is, and then help find a community of those who truly understand. After finding people who understand is a really good thing. Like, Allison now has a friend that she met last year who has OCD, and they can bond over that. And Allison has an online friend who also understands, so it feels good to be able to discuss it and have people who understand truly what you go through. It's like validation and supportive. And there are some treatment facilities in Canada that are well known for their therapy and discussion. They include the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, the International OCD Foundation, and other hospital awareness locations. I'm glad that there are supportive communities who want to help and make life a lot better. Okay, I'm back. Hey. Oh, you're like matching. Oh, I suppose we are. Anyway, good chat today, guys. I think this is an important thing to discuss because OCD may really affect and, sometimes ruin Allison's life, but she still fights through it because we're in Canada and she's learned how to work through and manage it all and get to where she is now, happier. That's really good. It sure is. Although, Ashley, I did have another reason for coming in here. And what is that? The pizza guy is waiting outside for payment. Oh my god! Whoops. We're just having a casual day.